Don't skip this. Tell me, have you ever allowed a single flash of anger to poison an entire day? One careless insult, one sarcastic remark, one disrespectful gesture, and suddenly your emotions hijack you. You lose focus, you react, you say things you didn't truly mean, and later you carry the weight of regret. It feels as if your control has been stolen away, doesn't it? But here's the truth. When emotions flare, it only feels like we have no control because we've never learned to properly claim it. And that is the deeper question. How do we take that control back? The Stoics taught a timeless principle. The real battlefield is not out there, not in the behavior of others, not in the chaotic circumstances of the world. The battlefield is within your own mind. Power is not found in shouting louder, striking harder, or reacting quicker. Power lies in restraint. It lies in not reacting at all, in the deliberate choice to hold calm when chaos provokes you, in the quiet refusal to hand over your peace to someone unworthy of it. That is the Stoic way. What you are about to learn is not about suppressing your feelings or pretending you are unaffected. It is about rewiring the way you meet provocation. It is about mastering your inner responses. This path will give you clear, tested, actionable Stoic techniques that help you pause before you erupt, detach from what does not serve you, and build the strength to master your emotions as a warrior of the mind. You are not weak for struggling with anger or irritation. You are human. Every man has felt the sting of disrespect, the burn of rage, the pull of pride, but very few ever learn to rise above those impulses. That is where your transformation begins. If you've grown tired of being emotionally hijacked, tired of handing your power to every small trigger, then this message is for you. Like this video, subscribe for more Stoic strategies, and share it with someone who desperately needs their peace back. Because once Stoicism enters your bones, you do not simply manage anger, you become untouchable. And once you become untouchable, everything changes. 1. Reframe emotional outbursts as habits you can unlearn. Think about this. Were you born angry? Did you arrive in this world slamming doors, snapping at strangers, shouting in traffic? No, those reactions, which now feel automatic, were learned. You picked them up slowly over years of stress, pride, and cultural conditioning that whispered to men, be loud, be aggressive, be dominant. But here is the paradox. True dominance, true strength, is not loud at all. It is silent. The strongest man in the room is not the one barking back at every insult. It is the one who remains unshaken, who does not hand away his peace, who refuses to be disturbed by petty things. Anger is not simply a feeling, it is a habit. And like every habit, it can be broken. But first you must see it clearly. Anger is nothing more than a chain reaction, one that keeps going only because you keep feeding it. A driver cuts you off. Your boss speaks down to you. Your partner makes a sharp remark. Before you know it, your body has fired and your mouth follows. That is the cycle. Most men stay enslaved to it their entire lives, mistaking it for just who they are. The Stoics saw differently. They saw anger not as a trait of personality, but as a weakness wearing a disguise. Epictetus said it best: any person capable of anger is a slave to it. Harsh words, but true. Every time you react blindly, you surrender your power to the very thing that provoked you. You become predictable. You become easy to manipulate. You become exhausted. Now picture this. You're waiting at the DMV. An hour has crawled by. Suddenly, someone cuts straight in front of you, bold as daylight. You feel it: the tight chest, the clenched jaw, the urge to snap. That moment right there is your battlefield. You can fight the same old war you always lose, or you can pause and ask the one question that separates the wise from the weak. Will getting angry make this better? You know the answer. You've lived it before. Outbursts don't fix anything. They only create more stress, more regret, more distance from the man you want to become. Stoicism doesn't demand you suppress your feelings, demands you step outside of them. Observe them as you would watch clouds drift across the sky. Acknowledge them, but do not let them steer the ship. Your rational mind must drive, not your impulses. Most men still believe anger is proof of strength, that staying calm means apathy or weakness. But in reality, it is the opposite. Anyone can explode. That's easy. But the man who stays composed when all else trembles, that is the man who possesses true discipline, maturity, and backbone. When you were disrespected, yet remain unshaken, you show dominance without ever raising your voice. When life throws its storms at you and you remain still, you prove your control, so the next time anger surges in your chest, pause, breathe, remind yourself this is just a habit, and I can let it go. Then walk away, not because you are weak, but because you have become too strong to waste your energy on what does not deserve it. You are not here to be triggered. You are here to reclaim your power. That begins not by changing the world, but by changing how you respond. Respond like a man who owns his mind. Respond like a Stoic. They are workouts for the soul. Yet here is where most men stumble. They wait until the storm arrives to prove they can stand still. They wait for the fire to test if they can remain cool. But it doesn't work like that. You don't suddenly rise to the level of the occasion. You sink to the level of your training. And if you've never trained your calm, your composure, your self-mastery, then, when life hits hard, you will fold. The Stoics knew this truth deeply. They lived it. Marcus Aurelius, Emperor of Rome, carried the weight of an empire on his shoulders, yet still found the discipline to sit down every day and write. Not because he was weak, not because he had too much time, but because he understood flexion is training, journaling his triggers, studying his reactions, asking himself how he could do better tomorrow. That was his gym. That was his weight room. Epictetus, once a slave, knew the same. He taught that discipline does not begin in dramatic moments, but in the quiet control of your thoughts, your impulses, your emotions. The practice of calm is not a reaction, it is a habit built in advance. So, if you want to stop being the man who snaps every time life goes wrong, then stop waiting for life to test you. Prepare yourself before it does. Sit with discomfort instead of reaching for distraction. Notice your breath when the urge to interrupt rises. Reflect at the end of your day, even if only for 5 minutes. Don't dismiss these as small. They are not small. They are emotional weightlifting. Each one is a rep, and the more reps you do, the stronger you become. No man is born stoic. No one wakes up naturally equipped with perfect self-control. But the man who repeats, who trains, who commits becomes unshakable. Calm is built the same way a body is built, with effort, with practice, with time. So don't sit back and wait for the world to throw you into fire. Throw yourself into training now, because the man who trains his mind in stillness is the man who wins when the noise comes. 4. Let go of what doesn't serve you. Picture this. Your day is perfectly planned. Wake early, hit the gym, tackle your tasks, and feel unstoppable. But then traffic piles up. A meeting gets cancelled. Your boss drops 3 new assignments on your lap with 0 notice. Suddenly, the plan crumbles and frustration rushes in. That tightness in your chest, that heat in your throat, it doesn't come from the event. It comes from your resistance to it. You're not upset because the world shifted. You're upset because you believed it wouldn't. Here's the truth. The world doesn't care about your schedule. Life does not wait for your permission to change. The more tightly you grip onto how things should have gone, the more you suffer. That's not weakness, it's attachment. An attachment left unchecked will always chain you down. A man who can only remain calm when everything goes right is a man who will never know true peace. Letting go is not giving up. It is choosing not to carry what isn't worth holding. It is learning to see the difference between what is in your hands and what is already slipping through your fingers. The Stoics mastered this art. They didn't waste energy on late traffic, rude strangers, or last-minute changes. They saved their strength for the things they could actually shape: their character, their mindset, their response. That is where control truly lives. So the next time something ruins your plan, pause. Step back. Ask yourself, is this in my control? If the answer is no, don't feed it. Let it drift by like a passing storm. You are not ignoring reality. You are refusing to drown in it. That's not denial. That's discipline. Real control is not about forcing the world into your shape. It's about adapting with strength when it doesn't. Power isn't bending reality. Power is remaining calm in reality as it is. Stoicism is not passive, it's precise. It doesn't demand you stop caring. It demands you stop wasting care on what cannot be changed. Picture this again. You're in a parking lot. A stranger reverses into your car, dents your bumper, and shrugs it off like it's nothing. You feel the fire rise. You want to lash out. But after that first surge, you pause. You ask, will raging at him fix the dent? Will it make him care? The answer is no. So you breathe. You file the paperwork. You drive away. Yes, your bumper is damaged, but your dignity is untouched. That is the win. Not because you excused him, but because you didn't let him take more than metal. He didn't take your peace, your night, or your health. You kept those. That is Stoic strength. It does not cling. It does not shout. It releases. And in release, it finds true control. So ask yourself daily, is this mine to hold? If not, let it go. Because the man who knows what to carry and what to drop never fears storms. He walks through them clear, calm, and unmoved. 5. Turn conflict into a personal test of mastery. Conflict is inevitable. If you're alive, building, striving, leading, dealing with people, you will face it. Someone will challenge you, disrespect you, misunderstand you, or test your patience. That is life. But most men approach conflict wrongly. They treat it like a threat to their pride, a stage to prove themselves. So they tense up, they raise their voices, they fight to dominate. And in doing so, they miss the deeper truth. Conflict is not a threat to your power. It is a mirror of it. Conflict shows you where your ego still rules, where your self-control is fragile, where you are still chained to other people's opinions. That is why the Stoics treated conflict as practice. Every confrontation, every insult, every unfair treatment was a rep, a chance to grow, a chance to refuse being dragged down by noise. Imagine this. You're at a hardware store counter. You've waited patiently. Suddenly, a man behind you cuts ahead, slams a receipt down, and demands attention. He raises his voice. Everyone turns. Your heart races, your jaw tightens. But you don't explode. Instead, you step back inwardly and ask, what's really at risk here? My time, my ego, or my peace? And in that moment, you choose peace, not by backing down, but by refusing to be hijacked. That is power with precision. Too many men think calm equals surrender. They think silence means weakness. But look closer when someone loses control in front of you. Do you respect them more or less? Rage is loud. Respect is quiet. The Stoic doesn't avoid confrontation. He simply refuses to let it own him. He speaks when necessary, but not from fire. He speaks from clarity. He knows the only thing worse than being disrespected is lowering yourself to mirror that disrespect. The more you train yourself to see conflict as practice, the stronger you grow. Arguments stop being battlefields and start being gyms. You stop wasting energy on proving yourself. You stop letting small people shrink your spirit, and instead you sharpen your strength, rep by rep. Marcus Aurelius lived this every day. Betrayals, wars, politics, yet he chose stillness. He chose integrity over revenge, because he understood every interaction is a chance to practice self-mastery. Not sometimes, every time. So the next time someone pushes your buttons, try this. Don't snap back. Don't waste energy proving. Don't let their chaos leak into you. Become the calm they cannot reach, not for their sake, but for yours. Because conflict isn't here to destroy you. It's here to train you. Every insult, every challenge is a test stand if you pass it. You grow untouchable. 6. Stay present, because your imagination makes you angry. Here is another truth. It is not the moment itself that makes you angry. It is your mind racing ahead into the future or spiraling backward into the past. You're not truly angry at what was said, you're angry at what you think it meant, what you imagine will happen next, what story you've built around it. Your suffering is rarely in reality. It's in the noise you create around it. Think about traffic. Someone cuts you off. That's 3 seconds of inconvenience. But then you replay it for 30 minutes. You imagine yourself confronting him, cursing, proving your dominance. And suddenly, that small moment follows you into your next call, your next meeting, even your dinner table. The moment is gone, but you've chained it to yourself. This is how little things grow heavy, because you never drop them in the moment they happen. Stoicism cuts through this with precision. It says, you only ever have now. In this moment, there is no insult, no imagined future, no history to repair. There is only breath. There is only choice. There is only what you do right now. Marcus Aurelius trained himself in this discipline. Whenever his mind wandered into distraction or resentment, he reminded himself, you could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think. Not tomorrow. Not after the argument is won. But now, the mistake many men make is believing that thoughts equal truth. That if you think it, it must be real. But most of what you fight against isn't real at all. It's imagined. The Stoics knew this. An untamed mind is the root of unnecessary suffering. Left unchecked, your imagination will invent enemies that don't exist and arguments that never happened. The solution? Train yourself back into presence. Anchor yourself here, now. Because here, there is no phantom insult, no endless replay. Here, you are free. You're stepping into a conversation with someone you already dislike. Before a single word is spoken, your chest is tight, your shoulders tense, your mind is bracing for war. You're expecting disrespect, anticipating conflict, rehearsing your comebacks before they've even opened their mouth. But pause for a moment and see what's really happening. Here nothing has actually been said. The hostility you feel isn't coming from them yet. It's coming from the future you've already written in your own head. You've created a story, projected an outcome, and now you're reacting to a battle that doesn't even exist. This is where you stop yourself. This is where you return to the moment. Maybe they will say something sharp, maybe they won't, but either way, you will meet it with far more strength, clarity, and calm if your mind is grounded in the present, not racing ahead to a fight that hasn't yet begun. That is why the practice of mindfulness is not some airy spiritual fluff. It is a tactical weapon. It's a warrior's advantage. Because while most men are trapped in the storms of what-ifs and maybes, the man who is present sees clearly, moves wisely, and responds with power. And here's the secret: you don't need incense, chanting, or sitting cross-legged in silence for an hour to practice it. You only need to notice. Notice your breath moving in and out. Notice the way your feet press against the ground. Notice the hum of the room, the sound of your own voice, the way your body holds itself in this moment. That is mindfulness, not escape, but awareness. Your mind will try to wander. It will spin stories about what might happen, about what was said last week, about how you've been wronged before. That's what the mind does. But every time it runs, you bring it back. Again and again. You train it like a muscle to stay here, in the now. And just like training the body, repetition builds strength. And when you've built that strength, something extraordinary happens. You stop overreacting to events that aren't even happening. You stop reliving old wounds you can never fix. You stop rehearsing speeches you don't need to deliver. Instead, you respond not from panic, not from anxiety, not from ego, but from presence. And presence is where calm lives. Presence is where power lives. The Stoics understood this deeply. They taught that we cannot control the past, for it is already gone. We cannot control the future, for it has not yet arrived. The only thing we can ever command is this moment now. And if you can learn to own now, even for just a few steady breaths, then you are not simply practicing Stoicism, you are living free. And that kind of freedom is the kind of strength that no insult, no betrayal, no circumstance can take away from you. Drop the weight of resentment before it ages. Your resentment is poison. It doesn't just corrode the mind, it seeps into the body, aging you from the inside out. You've seen it before: the man who looks weary even when he's had enough rest. The man whose walk is heavy even when his hands carry nothing. The man who recoils at kindness because betrayal has hardened him. That is not natural. That is resentment taking its toll. And here's the truth: resentment is not some invisible enemy stalking you from the outside. It is weight you carry by choice. Anger, blame, bitterness shoot one a stone in your pack. You may not even realize you're carrying it, because silence tricks you. You think because you don't talk about it, you've moved on. But silence is not healing. Avoidance is not freedom. That grudge you've held for 5 years, it is still shaping the way you trust, the way you speak, the way you react. You may believe you've buried it, but it still lives, dragging down your posture, shortening your patience, sharpening your temper. And this is why the Stoics saw forgiveness not as a moral duty, but as survival. To forgive is not to approve of what was done to you. To forgive is not to forget the wrong. To forgive is simply to refuse to remain shackled to it. As Epictetus said, "You may fetter my leg, but not even Zeus himself can conquer my will." That is the essence of forgiveness, not surrender, but sovereignty. Think of a time you were betrayed, humiliated, lied to, or abandoned. Maybe you swore you'd never forget, and you haven't, but every time you think of that person, your chest tightens, your stomach knots, your peace leaves. That is not strength, that is self-inflicted punishment. You are drinking poison, hoping it hurts them. You are reliving their actions long after they've moved on. That is the trap, mistaking anger for protection when in reality it is corrosion. The Stoic does not clutch anger as armor. He lets it fall from his hands like burning coals because he knows it is his own flesh it burns most. Forgiveness is not reconciliation. Forgiveness is not trust. Forgiveness is simply the reclaiming of space in your heart for something better. It begins with one decision: to stop feeding the story of what was done to you. Every time you replay it, you reopen the wound. Every time you retell it, you strengthen the chain. So stop rehearsing pain. Start protecting your energy. Picture this: sure, in the break room at work, someone throws a slick comment your way, a sharp jab meant to provoke. You could respond. You could carry it home. You could rant to your friend about it for hours. You could let it echo in your mind till midnight. Or you could simply smile. Not because you are weak, but because you have decided you are finished carrying garbage that isn't yours. You take a breath, you walk away, and you leave the weight where it fell. That is not passivity. That is controlled power. That is strength, choosing where it will and will not spend itself. And the moment you start dropping resentment, you feel it immediately in your shoulders, in your sleep, in your clarity of thought. Forgiveness is not a gift to them. It is a gift to you. It lightens you. It frees you. It restores your energy to the present. The man who forgives is not soft. He is strong enough to stop punishing himself for what someone else chose to do. So let it go. Not for their sake, but for yours. Because your life ahead is longer than your life behind. Why waste it dragging the past on your back? The man who travels light, moves faster, breathes deeper, lives freer. And you can be that man if you are ready to put the weight down. Asterisk, asterisk. Now you see it clearly. You are not a prisoner of your emotions. You are not bound to anger, chained to resentment, or enslaved by the need to react to every small provocation. What the Stoics discovered, what men like Marcus Aurelius and Epictetus lived, is that calm is not something handed to you, it is something earned through discipline. Self-control is not about repression, it is about direction. And peace is not weakness, is strength sharpened in silence. We have uncovered that anger is only a habit, and habits can be unlearned. We have seen that real strength comes not from lashing out, but from mastering yourself. We have learned that presence is the best defense against the storms of life, and that in every single moment of tension there exists a hidden spacer pause that can change the outcome of everything. In that space, your character is forged. In that space, your freedom is chosen. This is not theory. This is practice. It lives in the way you speak to your partner when emotions flare. It lives in the way you carry yourself in meetings when pressure mounts. It lives in the way you walk away from noise, choosing your peace over pointless battles. Each day gives you dozens of these opportunities. Each pause strengthens the muscle. And with time, your calm will no longer feel forced, it will feel natural. Your stillness will not be enacted, will be who you are. That is how you stop being triggered by everything and start becoming untouchable. So begin now. Train your breath. Hold your words. Master your pause. Build a mind that cannot be shaken by what it cannot control. Because the man who masters himself, his thoughts, his reactions, his energies, the man who truly owns his life. And that kind of strength endures long after the noise of the world has faded.